I started off focusing on properties that were 2 families, 3 families, 4 families, 5 families, 10 units. And then all of a sudden you sent the deal that was, 5 million bucks. And then the deal was 10 million bucks. And then, I'm negotiating a deal right now for over $3 billion right now, where the biggest deal that I'm a part of in my career. Now, but what I've realized is that it's just a digit and it means nothing. Those deals still have to make sense. Those sellers are still human beings, right? Like those sellers have the same bullshit complaints as anybody else. And keep in mind, the bigger you go, the more slim the buyer pool is. Because it's like everyone can buy $1 million property. I mean, there's millions of buyers for $1 million deal. If it's a $1 billion deal, there's about 4 people on planet Earth that probably could buy that, right? So, or call it maybe 10 funds, right? Like, so it's just like, you know what I mean? So it just narrows down that buyer pool. Other than that, keep in mind, not only are they human, but people still at that level like doing business with people they know. So it's just as you get up to those tiers, it's and I would even urge everybody, I say the same thing all the time. Just because you're selling $100 million deal doesn't mean you make 100 times the amount of money you would make on $1 million deal. I want to be very clear, because the larger the deal, a lot of times the less commission they're willing to pay. So all of a sudden you're doing a $100 million deal and you're going to make a 0.25% commission, and it's $250,000, and you can make that on a $3 million deal, right? Or a $4 million deal. People get so starry-eyed when they see these huge deals and realize that like it's really not that complicated. The biggest thing is really just understanding how to evaluate it. It's all a lot of the same questions you're going to ask. And, you just need to know what you're talking about. Like, that's the only other thing. Like, I would really say, like, the only difference between talking to a mom and pop guy who has $1 million deal versus a $100 million deal is you have to know the lingo. If the guy goes, yeah, listen, I got a cap rate of, it's a cap. I want a 6 cap. The the tenant has a first right of first refusal. And you're like, I don't know what that is. It's a problem, right? Like, you're probably not going to get the deal. Once you kind of know the lingo, and again, if you don't know what to say in certain moments, like, that's a great question. Let me talk to my partner before I get back to you, right? Like, it's just, you don't have to answer things you don't know. So all I can say is, like, I've seen not the most brilliant people sell huge deals, and it just gave me the confidence to say, this knucklehead could do it. I know I can. And by the way, everybody also started like gradually,
that's how how do you see us leveraging our skill set individually and as a team to create something? Like, is there a sort of like, John, you should actually focus in on this, Lauren, you should probably do this, or you guys both separate and be 2 people, or just because I think we like working together in that sense.
I think we use it as a crutch.
I think the only thing I can tell you, because like obviously I don't know you guys super well, right? And I don't want to make assumptions, but the one thing I can tell you that has worked in my life that for partnerships in general is having very defined roles, very specific, very defined roles, saying, hey, my job is X, your job is Y, and we just run. Right. This way you're not stepping on toes. You don't there's no miscommunication. There's no, I thought this was this and this was that. The more defined roles you can have for each other. Now, whatever works for you. Like, again, like, I don't want to just say one thing because I don't know if that'll be right. I don't want to just suggest something, but keep in mind that there's only so many roles in this business. And only so many of them pay a good dollar per hour, right? If you're not lead generating, meeting a client face to face, or negotiating some type of deal, right? Or working with a client to try to negotiate a deal, you're not making money. You're doing an activity that somebody else you can pay $10 or $20 an hour can do. So I would tell you both that if you want to make big money, you said you want to make $1 million here, right? If you want to make $1 million, that means both of you do very high leverage, high dollar per hour activities, and then you pay somebody to do the lower dollar per hour activities. If it doesn't make me 1,000 to 10,000 an hour, I don't do it.
Do you think it's feasible with anybody you've had through your program before? Like, we don't want to gross $1 million, we want to net $1 million. Has anybody done that in like their first year with you?
Not in the first year, not in 1 year. I'll tell you this: I've taken people to $1 million before, but I can tell you that it has not, that it was not net. It was $1 million GCI. And if you want to do $1 million net, you're probably looking at, close to $1.5 million to 2 million, in that range in GCI. It's very attainable. It's something that, you can do. It is possible many people have done it. And at the same time, it is something that you have to realize that, like, there's a reason why it is the 1% of 1%, because most people aren't willing to work 100 hours a week for 3 years or 5 years straight. To do that, you're going to need to have, 5 or 10 or 20 very active buyers, probably 10 or 20 minimum, very active buyers.
Yeah.
You're going to have a very strong, very consistent lead generation process. Generating 1 lead a day isn't enough if you want to make $1 million a year. Our team generates almost 1,000 leads a month. So it's like, obviously we have more than just me, right? But if you want to make $1 million a year, you need to generate a lot of leads, have a lot of, and especially in the commercial world where it's not always a listing. We sell it on, 99% of the time we're doing it off, double ending it off market. So you need to have a lot of wonderful buyers. But again, it's only at $2 million at 5% commission, which is $100,000. It's only doing $100,000 a month. Right? $2 million deal a month. So it's not eons away. I mean, I don't know if you have the pipeline that can support $1 million a year in 12 months. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Now, again, if you came to me and said, hey, my pending pipeline right now is unfucking believable, then maybe it's different.
You had a question about the NAR going around, ethics and things like that. I know you're not a part of NAR.
Yeah, NAR, we realized that yesterday. I just, so that might change your response to this, but when you're getting all of these things, even if I don't know your business model. He watches more of your stuff than I do. So I don't know if you're buying any yourself and then turning around and double closing and really wholesaling it, or if you're representing buyer and seller both. Are you putting it all on real estate forums and running it through your brokerage? I think that's where I get caught up of how do you wear both hats?
Again, if you are representing a client and you sign exclusive rights to sell, you are a fiduciary.
Yeah.
If I'm written on a letter of intent as receiving any sort of commission whatsoever, it runs through my brokerage. The only time that I do not run something through my brokerage is when I'm the principal in the transaction. I am the buyer of the transaction, or I am the seller of the transaction, and there is no compensation. So it is a completely different LLC, completely different business that is acquiring the asset, and then I can choose to do whatever the frick I want once I own it. Right now, I can own it for 15 minutes, or I can own it for forever, and any interim in between. So whether I double close same day, same week, same year, or 5 years down the road, right? It does not matter because it is not compensation. Because it's very different, right? And that you just have to, in your mind, and I'm going to tell you right now, I would just only think about brokering deals for right now unless an unbelievable, unimaginable deal comes along, which is very rare. So I would tell you that I don't worry so much about wholesaling right now. It's probably not the most immediate money for you. The most immediate money is how do we double end, because you're still going to need to find a buyer and you're still going to need to find a seller. So figuring that out and pairing them together and trying to make a 5 or 6% commission is going to happen the vast majority of the time, right? Versus having enough of a spread where you're going to make a wholesale fee. And as an example, again, it's a lot of money also to wholesale. It's not like it's free. I have to put up a deposit, right? We have a shopping center I'm in contract on right now where the deposit is $100,000. Okay. I mean, it's not a small shopping center, but I'm saying that's just the deposit to do the deal, right? Again, we might not do the deal, so I'll get my deposit back, right? Or we'll try to double close. But even then, and it's even seeming like I thought I was going to make X amount of money, and it seems like we're only going to make maybe $150,000 on this deal, and I have $100,000 up right now. It's not always this wonderful sunshine thing, we're just gonna take a broker fee. I'm just gonna run it as a commission. If we're gonna make 150 on this size deal, it's only a few points, So it's you don't always you'll know through working this together when it makes sense to do that. It's a very fucking obvious situation. It's just you get a deal for such a below market price. It's unbelievable, right? Which comes across maybe a dozen times a year for us. It's not and again, we're generating 1,000 fucking leads a month. So 1 out of 1,000 is even worth that.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.